Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Hard Factor. It is Thursday, July 18th, and the show is going to be a little bit different today. We're going to go through a quick news buffet of insane headlines. It's me, Pat, and Wes today on the show, so we have a crazy lineup.
Yeah, there's a new video game coming out about cats that Mark got real excited about, so he's not on the show today because he's researching that video game. It's an open world game where you play as a cat.
It's POV.
Yeah, he's really excited.
POC.
He's dove into that one. All right.
He lives that video game every day at his house.
And then after the news buffet, we're going to take it to an interview with DC Insider and social media strategist Shoshana Weissmann. So that's a good one. Stick around for that. Okay, let's get it going. First story of the news buffet. On Wednesday, the U.S. government had a failed articles of impeachment proposition in Congress. So basically, Representative Al Green from Texas, a Democrat, he introduced articles of impeachment for Trump based on the racist tweets, and it got tabled, meaning that it didn't pass. So I don't know I don't know what the nomenclature is. It didn't pass.
It got shot down. It seemed half-assed, to be honest with you.
What's nomenclature?
Like the wording, like the jargon, or whatever.
Jesus Christ, Wes.
Sorry.
Wes is back from vacation. He's forgetting words. I think it was kind of it was not a well-timed deal because yesterday,
it was weird.
Right, yesterday they did the vote on whether or not his comments were racist, clearly to build a case for impeachment, and then Al Green today is like dropping the impeachment, and
right.
a lot of the Dems were not happy about that, probably because of the way that it was approached. Also, Pelosi was like.
Yeah. Oh, they're in shambles. They're totally not agreeing with each other. It's terrible. Like they had this opportunity to make a positive thing, and then they just all disagreed with each other. So they're not really taking advantage of the situation. But President Trump is taking advantage in a different way. He stirred up the old story about Ilhan Omar allegedly marrying her brother to avoid immigration restrictions before hopping on a flight to a MAGA rally, at which the crowd was chanting "Send her back." While Trump was sitting there doing like the face, when the crowd chants like
what state was that in?
That was in North Carolina. Yeah,
That's a whole new level of bullshit. It's like one thing to say it, but then like when a crowd is chanting it, you're the teacher in the classroom. You need to be like, all right, guys.
Well, I mean, the deal is we've got a full-on race war on our hands with two very willing participants. President Trump and Ilhan Omar are down to ride on this race war. So,
what do you know about the brother marrying conspiracy?
Okay. I looked it up, and there's a lot of articles that debunked it back in 2016. But recently, in Minnesota, the Minnesota Star had an article that talked about how the addresses are real fishy with her current husband, and then the other estranged husband who allegedly is not a relative of hers in any way, but she was only married to him for 2 years, and that So it's a fishy, it's a weird timeline.
Similar ears and noses.
Is it like brother in the term of Islam though?
I have no idea. It's very alleged. But there is a new article out there now that's like bringing it back up. I think that's why Trump stirred it back up, and then obviously that got the crowd going, and they started chanting "Send her back," which is definitely not a good thing. So it's all embarrassing for Americans overall, I think. But we got a politically enabled race war on our hands, I guess. So
my girlfriend bought a shirt when we were on vacation that says it was a shirt that says on the top line, "Sorry for our president," and then below that is like 20 different languages that say the exact same thing.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, if you've traveled abroad in the last 3 years, All right, anyway. Look,
Wes is rocking an American flag tee, like with his arm around her.
He's just a patriot, man. He's just a patriot. Now, that send her back shit's fucked up. But all right, anyway. Yeah, we'll post some clips on the Instas, I'm sure. So a video dropped yesterday that was really interesting. So in 1992, NBC did a profile on Mar-a-Lago, on Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago. So this video is 92 Trump with all the Buffalo Bills cheerleaders. Who, by the way, I don't know why this is, but when I look at women from 1992, even though like obviously they're probably really attractive, something about the haircuts and the clothes, I'm just
You're
like,
telling me you look at a picture of Cindy Crawford from 92 and it doesn't do it for you?
Very different.
Well, it's like kind of like going back further, like the 60s, where they're a little more full-bodied, maybe.
Right, but I'm talking about it's like the women on Seinfeld. Like you look at the women on Seinfeld, and you're like, I'm sure that these women were objectively hot in the 90s. But
yeah, I mean, people were obsessed with Elaine. back then.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. So the video is this. It's a profile on Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and guess who shows up? Guess who comes over conveniently?
I got to guess.
Who is it?
It's old Jeff, Epstein.
Old Jeff Epstein pops in. A young Jeff Epstein pops in, says what's up to Trump, and then him and Trump just kind of hang out at the bar and gawk at these ladies.
Yeah, trading notes. They're like slapping each other in the chest and shit. Yeah.
So like we would do.
Kinda. One, like a way more misogynistic shitty way.
Except Epstein.
Really? We wouldn't be misogynistic, grading cheerleaders.
Sure, but Wes, but Epstein is also a rapist, and he was wearing a denim. He was wearing a denim shirt.
I get
so
that. But doesn't
none of us would have worn the denim shirt. That's for sure.
It doesn't matter from the fact that we would have been like, well, she's hot, she's hotter, she's hot,
Wes,
she's
but
hotter.
we would have done it in a way where I'd have been like, hey, maybe you got a shot at that one.
Right.
Then,
Wouldn't have been like, I'm
Very
going to drug
respectful.
that one and rape her later, which is probably
exactly.
what
Don't get me
Epstein may
there.
have been saying, allegedly.
Anyway, doesn't look good. There's some stuff on the tape. All you can really make out is Trump saying she's hot right there. It's the whole thing's creepy all around. But what's really interesting later is
Some
that
locker room talk. It was a locker room talk section.
Yes.
So here's the one thing I was thinking. So Trump came out and saying like I was never a fan of the guy. Trump's definitely trying to distance himself from the guy. Obviously, there's some information came out that Epstein and his fixer, the woman that he had that would predatorize women and bring them in, they rode on Trump's plane a bunch. So like I think Trump might be bullshitting, but at the same point, I also don't think a lot of people understand what it's like to be a guy like Trump, where you're a gregarious deal maker. So like
I believe that he got rid of him after he found out that how bad he was, the extent of how bad he was.
Yeah, when you're running high circles, you run around people that you don't know what their proclivities are behind the scenes, and sometimes they're pieces of shit.
Well, the point is, you definitely what I can take away from this is you had two creepers creeping in '92. That's about the takeaway there.
Creeping on, commenting on cheerleaders
On NFL cheerleaders.
Wes,
all
it's
legal
a different
age,
story,
all
bro.
legal age.
It's a
I'm just
different
saying,
story.
Listen, Epstein's a piece of shit. Don't pin me there, but come on, they're cheerleaders. They're on an NFL team. Anyway, all right. Moving on, taking it back to the Philippines for a little visit with our buddy President Rodrigo Duterte.
Never not fun to say.
Yeah, Duterte. Turns out he's getting on board with the Me Too movement, or actually just the women's equal rights movement. And a new act is passed banning sexual harassment called the Safe Spaces Act.
They just did this?
Well, it passed in February, I think, but it's just or April, and it's just now being.
I'm saying like 2019 is now now it's illegal to sexually harass people in the Philippines.
Very progressive.
There's no safe spaces in the Philippines. That's an ironic thing.
Yeah. So Duterte claims he'll be the first to adhere to it as the president, and the act puts a ban on logically harassing things such as groping, catcalling, sexual slurs, making sexual advances in public, stalking, and something called wolf whistling. Which is
wolf whistling.
Oh my God! Oh baby!
Which is different than a cat call. Which is say girl say.
That's a cat.
They're like, hey baby. So all the fun stuff. Just kidding. All the stuff which of course should be not allowed in a society. This comes after some past statements that Duterte has made, such as joking that he would give his soldiers orders to shoot rebel female soldiers right in the vagina.
It's like the French with eyes.
Yeah. And the joke after a 1989 rape of an Australian missionary in his hometown in which he said, quote, I was angry she was raped. Yes, that was one thing, but she was so beautiful. I think the mayor should have been first.
Oh, man. He's calling for prima nocta. That's the Scottish thing where the Lord could fuck your bride. It's at the start of Braveheart was prima
That's
nocta.
where it's good to be king came from. Duarte sounds like he should be hanging with Epstein.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, his spokesman said that these jokes were all in good fun and meant to entertain the good people of the Philippines. The new law states, quote, it is the policy of the state to value the dignity of every human person and guarantee full respect for human rights. So Duterte is not going to be allowed to bring women on stage to forcefully kiss them to prove he's not a homosexual anymore.
Yeah, what happened with that? Did he came out as gay or what?
No, he said he used to be, but he cured himself.
But he
used
cured
to be
himself.
gay.
Yeah,
he's
he's cured himself. All right. So remember when your social media feed just became a barrage of people with pictures of themselves as old people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was
hilarious.
Oh yeah, it was like a day ago. So I'm glad you guys
look
remember.
exactly like my dad, but worse.
Did you post it?
No.
Yeah,
of course
thank
not.
God.
Yeah, I didn't post mine either. I look like what's the name? A dwarf today, but I look even more like a dwarf when I'm older.
It's a well done app, though. It really.
Yeah, the quality is off the charts.
If you go pro, it's really great.
Right, but the reason the quality is off the charts is that turns out that Cool Face app is actually a Russian-owned app with very demanding access rights to your phone. So it can see all of your photos, all of your contacts, and other vital information, even when the app is not in use. So
genius.
I clicked yes to all those things.
Yes,
You just want your old picture.
That's what
we all did. We all got duped. But I guess we're not supposed to worry because the owner of the app told TechCrunch that, quote, even though the core R&D team is in Russia, user data is not transferred to Russia, which I can only assume he said while cracking up and taking vodka shots while staring at his Russian of the Year plaque from the KGB.
Yeah, just watching ruples get transferred into his
your shit is definitely in Russia now. All of ours is.
Get some bot faces going.
Yeah. All right, Pat, you're up.
Oh, well, there's some other tech news, but yeah, okay, cool.
Oh, shit, you're right. In other tech news, good news for paralyzed people, Elon Musk is figuring out how to put a chip in your brain to link your phone to your brain so you can finally scroll Pornhub without hands.
Which I'm excited about because, yeah, well, you guys know.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard when if you're involving lotion.
So just anywhere you can scroll through Pornhub without anyone knowing about it.
Right, but it's for paraplegics at first, but, eventually it's going to make it to men.
Wes hasn't even thought about linking to the neural net. He doesn't understand it yet.
No, I do.
You get it?
I get it. But I think it's a waste to do it on paraplegics.
Why?
What? They're the people who need it the most.
Why? They can't jerk off, right?
Yeah, but they got it. They can control. They can do a computer at least. They can read shit on the internet.
I'm thinking the simple jerk off.
Will was making a joke about Pornhub. It's not about masturbation. Wes.
Right.
Well, you got me at Pornhub. Sorry.
Their ability to use the internet at all.
My mom just went to a guy with no ability of his arms looking at Pornhub.
And then you got an erection.
That is fucked up. I'm
Ricardo
sorry.
Rossello of Puerto Rico is in big trouble, boys. Thousands of Puerto Ricans rallied at the U.S. Commonwealth's Capitol yesterday calling for Ricky's resignation in the wake of a corruption investigation after 889 pages of private chat between the governor, his officials, and his associates were leaked. So bunch of chat he didn't want out there. The people were joined by a number of celebrities, including Ricky Martin, Bad Bunny, the reggaeton star, and Benicio del Toro.
Bad Bunny, huh?
Yeah, the comments in the leaked documents are being called homophobic, misogynistic, and also made light of some of the deaths the island suffered at the hands of the hurricane, which is
Oh, God. He was making fun of people who died in the hurricane?
It was bad. He was making light. One of the cringier quotes was, now that we are on the subject, don't we have some cadavers to feed to our crows?
Whoa.
He said that?
He said that.
That's a fucking mayor of Puerto Rico?
The governor. Yeah, but my favorite was a quote about international pop sensation Ricky Martin, where he said, nothing says patriarchal oppression like Ricky Martin. Ricky Martin is such a male chauvinist that he fucks men because women don't measure up. Pure patriarchy. And see, what I love about that is that's just a couple
This
of
guy's
dudes.
intense.
They're just doing their best to make sense of something they don't understand, which is homosexuality. And that's a real weird take. It's a brand new take for me. I've never heard a take like that.
Well, I mean, it is the most alpha thing, right?
What? To fuck another man?
Right, I guess. Like, is that
No,
the
it's
most
not.
alpha it
No,
gets?
I
That's his
think
point?
I think it's not the most alpha.
Pretty alpha. It's pretty alpha, Wes.
Gonna go with no on that one.
Come here. Let me show you my dominance. On top of the shitty comments, it appears that Ricky, not Martin, but the governor, has been misappropriating hurricane relief funds. So win one for Donald Trump for predicting that. But yeah.
All right,
Damn,
all right,
that's
and
crazy.
Moving on. In a shocking result, El Chapo is going to jail for life, as we all expected. So back in February, as we covered, he was found guilty of 10 charges, including drug trafficking and money laundering, as well as probably ordering the deaths of hundreds of people, some buried alive, and drugging and raping many young girls.
Yeah, all around bad guy.
It's a real common theme in the news these days.
Yeah. So the former head of the Sinaloa cartel, who has previously escaped jail and will likely attempt to do so again, will be locked behind, quote, tons of steel, according to the prosecutors, at a Colorado prison, or not a Colorado prison, wink, wink, and will have to forfeit over $12 billion he earned through drug trafficking and entrepreneurial ventures.
Good luck getting him to forfeit that. Like, what are you going to do? He's in fucking jail.
Yeah, where is it?
What are you going to do?
Also, he's going to escape, probably.
Oh, 100% he's going to escape.
He's escaped every other jail he's been in, right?
He's like a superhero with like a squad of superheroes.
With a shovel. He's like He's like John. He's like is he Mexican? Mexican John Henry. Didn't he? Didn't he do like he beat the train?
Yeah,
or he beat the
I believe
machine
through Colorado maybe too.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah, so El Chapo has claimed the conditions he has been held in under the U.S. equates to torture, probably not as bad as some of the torture he had ordered on his rivals. And his lawyers say they will appeal the decision. The jurors of the trial convicted him unanimously and were escorted from the courthouse by armed marshals and will likely never sleep soundly again.
No way they're ever turning a car on again. That's for damn sure.
No.
He took that privilege away from them.
They need some Ambien real bad.
Yeah. All right, let's take it over to the interview with Shoshana Weissmann. So, welcome to the show, noted DC insider and social media strategist, Shoshana Weissmann. Thanks for joining us, Shoshana.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. And since that was probably a very shitty introduction of what you actually do, can you tell us a little bit about where you're from and what you do for a living?
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, it was pretty shitty, but so I manage digital media for the R Street Institute in Washington, D.C. We're a free market think tank, so I'm also a fellow there, and I work mainly on regulatory policy, and basically, like, whatever I want to do, they're chill with, as long as I do it well. For me personally, it's all about, like, not having regulations get between people and important stuff. So I have a pretty great job.
Yeah, I hate regulations, Shoshana. Not a fan. So I'm glad that you're kicking regulations in the teeth, getting them out of the way.
That's not where I'm kicking them.
Where are you kicking them? In the Jennies? You're talking about the Jennies, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, the family jewels.
I think we're on the same page. Well, real quick, what is a think tank?
So we just think all day. We just sit around and think.
Do you guys smoke dope? It seems like a think tank would be really, really effective.
Yeah.
If you were getting high.
You know, I suspect some of my colleagues do, but they don't apparently, to my knowledge at least.
A recent study found that DC has the highest percentage of psychopaths, and you sound like somebody who'd be well qualified to judge that study. Any truth to that?
I mean, I resemble that remark, so I'd have to agree. But I also don't think the study takes into account idiots, and I think sometimes we assume malice where the real cause is stupidity. So I just like to look a little more into that study.
Hey, Shoshana, can we get into what happened in D.C. today? I would love your take.
Which thing?
Okay, so what happened in D.C. today? There was a vote put forward to potentially impeach the president, right?
So, yeah, Congress failed. They tabled the articles of impeachment, and then the day ended with a MAGA rally in North Carolina where all the people were chanting, "Send her back," after Trump brought up that Ilhan Omar was married to her brother rumor earlier in the day.
Yeah, like DC sucks sometimes, even with the impeachment stuff. Like if they want to go for it, like logistically, they just need a better way to do it and not this like half-assed, like, oh, we're going to impeach him. Oh, I guess not. Like we're not going to do that anymore. And also like maybe like I'm not super down with telling immigrants to go back where they came from. Like that's not a good thing.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I would mark that as bad.
Well, on that note, let me ask you a question as a DC insider. So we had a theory, right, when that Trump tweet came out telling the squad essentially to go back where they came from, that was essentially a bait or a thirst trap to kind of engage the white nationalist base. And it was more of a campaign tactic than anything else. What's your take on it?
I mean, it was definitely a thirst trap of some sort. And I like that you're using it in this context because I think thirst trap is an underrated term that I've been trying to use more in wrong context. But
you got to introduce it to the political world, you know? You got to get in there.
Yeah, oh yeah. With his tweet, I kind of feel like it was just to get the outrage cycle going. Like I get the idea of why people think it's for the white supremacists, and it may be, but like I kind of think that this is more just to get the focus on I know it sounds weird, but like the focus on this narrative itself, where then you have like the progressives coming out and then Pelosi is like, hey, let's not say anything because this actually works better if we're a little quieter, and then the squad doesn't listen, and like it kind of, for some reason that I still can't figure out, benefits Trump. Like I'm in DC and I have no fucking idea what's going on.
Well, it's because you're in DC that you don't get why it benefits Trump. It benefits Trump in the heartland. I feel like outside of cities. But do you think, I follow up to that, do you think that if the shoe was on the other foot, like say there was an extremely progressive liberal as the president, do you think the Democrats would play team ball as well as the Republicans do to put up with a leader that a lot of them may despise?
I do. It's really unfortunate, but there's, politics really is a team sport, and it shouldn't be, because it should be about good ideas and like honest agreements. And I understand like sometimes allegiances need to be made and stuff like that. But I think when it comes down to it, like people just defend their own team. And it doesn't matter if stuff is true or if there's logic, but people just kind of stick together. And for me, that sucks, and it's why I work in policy now.
But is the vibe in D.C. that Trump is not on the Republicans' team? Like, it seems to me that, like, so many of them are just, they must think he's just such a clown because he's such an outsider.
And he's going rogue a little bit.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, people kind of just roll with it, especially because he's president, so they have to be on his good side. So, like, you always hear these stories of people talking behind the scenes where they can't stand stuff. But I think a lot of people just kind of want to get the best policies out of him that you can, which makes sense. So they kind of keep quiet and like go that way. But, you have to remember that a lot of staff in Congress are just really young. They're even younger than I am, and I'm pretty young. And they're kind of like trying to figure out what's going on too, and just accepting that Trump's president and like, okay, so assuming that, what can we get done now? Because I don't know why things are happening. So I think that there's a lot of just misunderstanding and not really knowing what's going on.
So you're all as scared and confused as everybody else in DC. You're just like holding on by the seat of your pants. Gun to your head, is Trump going to be the president in 2020?
Yeah, I mean, when he goes up against Marianne Williamson, like, that's just going to, like, oof, he's going to
Who do you really think is going to be the Dem candidate?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, in my view, and I might be wrong because I've been wrong a million times about all this, but I think it should be Biden, but I could see it being, like, Beto. Like, I really could.
What?
I know he's polling low now. I really think it could be Beto.
You think he's going to, like, rip out a sweet skateboard trick and just turn it all around?
He's the kind of weird where it's going to just keep going, and eventually people are going to be cool with it. Like, that's how Trump got elected. He was just really weird, and then everyone's like, I'm okay,
We're an up and coming, political news podcast, and you being a social media guru, any tips for us to how to get those, those sweet clicks?
Well, I get clicks because I'm super weird and like have embraced it fully. So I highly recommend that to people who are able to just like be unapologetically yourself, to the point where people are like, what the fuck are they doing? And then they just kind of accept it. It's like the Trump theory. Like, I love sloth and I love regulatory reform and I dye my hair rainbow. And at some point, everyone was just like, this is cool. Like, but the more like you just kind of tweet whatever the fuck is on your mind, the more people like it.
Right. But if Wes did that, he would be arrested. So
yeah, I have to be very quiet, as I have been, and nervously through this whole thing to not say the wrong thing. So I can't do that.
Yeah. But that's a great tip.
Yeah.
Shoshana, have you ever been near Mitch McConnell's neck? How close have you gotten to it?
So I have a picture with him. I actually sewed a shirt.
Was it a turtleneck?
And I designed a Mitch McConnell fabric, and I sewed it into a shirt. And then I got a picture with him while I was wearing that shirt.
What's the take on Mitch in D.C.? It seems like he's pure evil, or he's crafted from evil. But how do they feel in D.C.?
He's a strategic guy. It's actually worth reading his memoir. I think that people would understand him a lot better. He's a really interesting guy with a lot of character, and I disagree with a fair chunk of what he does. But I just find the guy so fascinating. And when I agree wholeheartedly.
He wins.
But
he wins. That's the thing.
He's very strategic. He's very calculated. Everything he does for a reason. Even when you talk to him, he'll say maybe 2 words, but those 2 words mean a lot.
Does he have a good sense of humor? Like would he like maybe show up at the White House during the turkey pardoning and like dress up like a turkey? Would he do that, you think? Because that's a joke that I would write for Mitch that I think would be good for him.
Turkey, turtle, he can kind of go in.
Bullseye on his face.
I don't think he would, but I think he would do something close. Because when I met him, I walked in to say hi, and the first thing he says is, "So I hear you also like turtles," and I lose my shit. He has the best fucking sense of humor. He gives no fucks, and his team knows that it's fucking hilarious when he takes pictures with weed.
Yeah, he's got to have a sense of humor because his team embraced the cocaine Mitch thing.
It's funny because he seems to have the demeanor of like George Will, but then he's fucking cool with being cocaine Mitch, and he embraces it and loves it. Like, I kind of appreciate the hell out of that.
Hey, I got one more question for you. Just being in the inner circle, talking around town, how close are we to legalized marijuana federally?
I don't know this issue super well on the federal level, but like everyone is chill with it. Like everyone in Congress smokes. Like everyone in DC is smoking. Like
Well, it's legal in the city. It's legal in DC.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's like, but I don't get how it's still illegal. It's to the point where like it's an open secret that literally everyone in DC smokes weed. I don't know how it's not legalized yet, so I can't think it's that far off. Like I wouldn't be surprised within 5 years if we get there.
Oh, that would be fucking
Need it.
Shoshana, thank you so much for joining the show. Everybody go and follow at Senator Shoshana on Twitter. She's got some great shit on there and is definitely smarter than us when it comes to being a DC insider. Thank you, Shoshana.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, that interview is brought to you by Rough and Rowdy 9 this Friday night, July 19th in North Carolina. It's the red, white, and bruised edition. Make sure to go get your Barstool Gold account to watch some true patriots slug each other in the face all night long. And that does it for Hard Factor today. As always, thank you for listening. Follow at Hard Factor News on Twitter and Instagram. And most importantly, have yourself a great fucking day.